With every new detail that emerges about this shocking case, it's utterly outrageous that it hasn't provoked national uproar. Henry Novak, 18 years old, prime of his life, walking home after a night out, encounters Vikram Digwa, who's carrying an 8-inch knife. Henry's stabbed 4 times as he desperately tries to flee. And when the police finally arrive on the scene, they believe Vikram's story that Henry was the aggressor, refuse to accept Henry's been stabbed, arrest Henry for being racist, and shortly after, he drowns in his own blood. Most of you know the basics of the story by now, but each day brings alarming new revelations. Please leave a like and comment on this video, by the way, because I'm going to use a lot of spicy words that the algorithm doesn't like. We've now heard Digwa's side of the story, and suffice to say, there are some pretty big gaping holes in it. Digwa claims Henry barged into him, yelling racial slurs, but videos of the incident taken on Henry's phone, which was found in Digwa's pocket, don't contain any evidence of such language being used. The video does show Digwa asserting, quote, "I am a bad man." Then Digwa claims Henry punched him, threatened his life, that a brawl ensued, and that Digwa punched him back. Digwa claims he feared Henry would use a knife that was in Digwa's possession. So Digwa stabbed him. A slash across the face, in the chest, in the lower body, and twice in the back of his legs. Was Henry stabbed in the back of the legs during that confrontation? Or when he'd already turned and run, when he was desperately trying to flee Digwa by climbing over fences? Yeah, which one makes more sense to you? The defendant said he did not intend to stab the student in the chest and was unaware he had. Right. Yeah, stabbing someone in the chest, causing a wound 8 centimeters deep, seems like quite a deliberate thing to do and something you would remember doing, doesn't it? Digwa claims Henry pulled off his turban as part of the racist attack, and that his hair being in front of his eyes caused him to stab out in fear. Except there's video footage of Digwa pursuing Henry as he tried to flee, showing Digwa with his hair in a tight bun, but then when police had arrived, his hair was down. Interesting. What do you think happened there then? Henry pleads for help. Neighbours overhear him saying, "I've been stabbed, I'm dying." Shortly after this point, Digwa's family arrives on the scene. Video footage shows Digwa saying to Henry, "No one stabbed you, bro." They mock him. Digwa's father asserts, quote, "He's pretending," despite the video showing Henry literally prostrate, lying on the ground, bleeding, with Digwa's father then literally trying to prop him up. They tell police Henry's just a drunken racist, when his blood alcohol level, according to the toxicology report, was below the drink drive limit. Henry repeatedly tries to tell the police, quote, "I've been stabbed," to which a male voice responds, "I don't think you have, mate." Who said that? Digwa? One of his family members? Or even more disturbingly, was it one of the police officers? Henry again repeatedly cries for help, telling police, quote, "I can't breathe." Yet they arrest him anyway on suspicion of assault, despite Digwa not being injured at all and Henry being mortally wounded. Believing the drunken racist story while ignoring the literal trail of blood. They only remove the handcuffs after Henry is clearly unconscious. Then Henry drowns in his own blood as a result of the knife puncturing his lung. Then 2 days after the incident, police covertly record a conversation between Digwa and his brother, during which his brother tells Digwa, "You should say it was self-defense." Digwa responded by saying it was my fault or mistake. Digwa was carrying 2 knives, by the way, a smaller one around his neck and a larger one that he used to kill Henry. Sikhs in the UK being allowed to carry such knives, despite it being a serious criminal offence for anyone else to do so, and women not even being allowed to carry pepper spray because it's their religion. Doorbell footage shows Digwa's mother took the knife used to kill Henry back to the family home, removing it from the crime scene so the police couldn't discover it. Oh, that's not suspicious at all, is it? The media's trying to frame the entire narrative around this, to be focused on whether or not Henry used a racial slur and whether he initiated the confrontation, as if using mean words justifies someone stabbing you to death anyway. But in concentrating on this aspect, they're deliberately sidelining the biggest outrage. outrage. The fact that police immediately believed Digwear and his family's story that Henry was a drunken racist, arrested him, put him in handcuffs, denying him the swift medical aid that could have saved his life. It was their actions as much as Digwear's that led to Henry's death. Digwear played the race card, and the police, thanks to years of anti-racism training and institutional anti-white bias, believed him over the actual dying victim. It was Henry who was racially profiled, immediately treated as the aggressor even as he bled to death. And why? Because white lives don't matter. But wait until you see what else renders this whole farce utterly mind-boggling. Of course, this was barely covered in the media. Less than a dozen published articles worldwide, and the left-leaning media didn't even touch it. I know this thanks to Ground News, a long-time partner of the channel. I use their app and website in my daily research. Now ask yourself, why did this receive so little attention? Why do some stories receive year-long coverage, while others like Henry Novak practically vanish? These kind of questions is why Ground News matters. You can instantly compare how the same stories being covered worldwide and across the political spectrum. More importantly, you can see the stories the media or your algorithm won't show you. We need tools like this more than ever. Subscribe now using my link ground.news/PJW for 40% off unlimited access. Whether you subscribe for yourself or gift it to a friend. That's ground.news/PJW. The link is down below. Make sure to use my link so they know I sent you. Get all sides of every story and break free from algorithms at ground.news/PJW.
A student on a night out is stabbed multiple times with a 21-centimetre long knife. He's lying in a pool of his own blood, literally drowning in his blood. The police come to the scene. Instead of doing everything that they can to save his life, they handcuff and arrest the lad because there's an accusation of racial abuse. This is a scandal. Will the Home Secretary come to the House and say what she's doing to investigate the way the police conducted this matter? And can we have a debate on two-tier policing, which is doing so much to undermine respect for the police and for the rule of law in this country?
There's video and body cam footage of all of this, by the way. Will we ever see it? Will they ever dare release it? Elon Musk's offered to fund a wrongful death lawsuit against the police. But imagine if the roles were reversed. Imagine if an 18-year-old Sikh man had died in handcuffs as police refused to help him after he'd been stabbed by a white man. Front page story, national outcry, massive protests. The Prime Minister would have immediately decried it. The police officers involved would be swiftly named and up on charges. It happens to Henry, and there's barely a ripple of interest. Because white lives don't matter. Compare this to the absolute uproar in Ireland at the moment, where a Congolese man with a criminal history was tackled by security as he tried to steal something from a shop. An 80-year-old pensioner he barged into fell and broke their hip. Then Yves Sekila fell unconscious and died while being restrained on the ground. They're treating it like Europe's George Floyd.
Justice for him! All we need! Justice for him! All we need! Justice for him! All we need! Justice for him!
Huge protests, candle-lit vigils, demands for instant justice. And the Irish Prime Minister demanding an investigation. The Irish Network Against Racism expressed concern that excessive force may have been used against Sekila and said in a statement that the death of a black man in such circumstances is extremely worrying. But apparently not in the case of a white man, Henry Novak, whose death is relegated to an almost irrelevant local news story. Because white lives don't matter. Compare Henry Novak to what happened to Stephen Lawrence. The same age as Henry, Lawrence's murder, which the prosecution argued was racially motivated, led to conclusions that the Met Police was institutionally racist, led directly to massive changes in the law and policing in general, and was described as one of the most important moments in the modern history of criminal justice in Britain. People still talk about it more than 3 decades later. It's still in the news from time to time, while Henry's killing will remain just a footnote, with zero justice system ramifications whatsoever. If his alleged alleged murderer even ends up being convicted at all. There'll be no inquiry into whether the police's obsession with anti-racism actually facilitated his death. The officers involved likely won't face any recriminations or discipline at all, because white lives don't matter. The Prime Minister and the Met Police are busy denouncing what happened in San Diego, in a different country thousands of miles away. Hampshire Police, the force involved in Henry's death, made sure to let everyone know that they stand with those appalled at the death of George Floyd. No such sympathy when it comes to Henry, no comment on their own officers' misconduct, literally nothing. The UK was transfixed for months with protests and riots over the police-involved death of George Floyd. Hundreds of thousands of people hit the streets over something that happened thousands of miles away in a different country. The Black Lives Matter cultural revolution was embraced and adopted wholesale by virtually every major institution in Britain, including, crucially, the police, who, when faced with a white man literally bleeding to death after being stabbed, didn't arrest the alleged perpetrator and render immediate medical aid to Henry Novak. They arrested Henry and then watched him die, because apparently being seen as anti-racist is more important than saving the life of an actual victim. George Floyd dies in police custody while pleading, "I can't breathe." It provokes a global backlash. Henry Novak dies in police custody while pleading, "I can't breathe." It provokes barely any reaction whatsoever, because white lives don't matter.